Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I am the Willow Guy, and this is Japanese backstamp video. In today's video, we're going to be going over Japanese backstamp. You hear a lot about it, and people, they tell you not to collect it. They say it's not worth anything. Is it? Well, it's quite old actually. I consider 60 years, 50, 60 years, that's kind of getting up there. Now in the 80s, when some of these people said, you know, oh, don't collect that. Well, it was only a couple years old, 30 years old or something, whatever it was. So we're going to go over a few styles of Japanese backstamp. And by the way, I would say collect them all. Grab any type of willow you can find and sort it out later. As long as you're only paying $5 or so. So, all right. So in Japan, which a lot of people will tell you that is the newest stuff because it's stamped after Japan was occupied, after the war, which would put it around maybe 50, but probably 1960s. So here's an example of a Japanese made in Japan stamp. It's a sticker. You've probably seen them a lot on all kinds of things in the Goodwill. And by the way, if you get one of these, don't wash this plate. Don't remove that unless you tell yourself, like remind yourself with a little sticker somewhere that tells you that that's a Japanese back stamp with a sticker. Maybe it was gold. There's all kinds of colors which can tell you a trail to lead you what year it is. So don't remove them. As you can see with the glue, it's migrated through the years. Everybody's touched it and it's moved and moved and moved. But yeah, this one appears like it's kind of red, orange. It's a really cartoonish looking pattern. It's emulating the Boost Willow center pattern. 2 temples, 1. Comes with a little cup. And the cup doesn't have the stamp, but it had yellowing on the bottom, so you knew the stamp was there, just like the other one. So like I said, that's about 1960. Now, you'll see a lot of... oh, wait. This is another back stamp. It says made in Japan, and it's blue. Would they be the same makers? Maybe not. It could be any type of maker. But most generally after the war, definitely. This pattern is kind of a strange little pattern. Again, it's cartoonish, which kind of, every time I see these patterns, I think, it's later because of its fine lining and such. It's kind of fake looking, if you ask me. Okay. So then you'll have the actual words made in Japan. Now, some will say that these words signify whether or not it's made after the war or not. And I'll show you in my video here that that's not necessarily true, and you can't count on that. So, here's my first example. It says made in Japan. Very clear words, and it's very large. Now, this will tell you what type... this will tell you what year it came from, what era, if by how large it is. If it's really large, then it's probably after the war. If it's really small, I'll show you an example here. It's a lot smaller, and it says made in Japan. Then it's earlier. Now, the makers themselves had the right to put made in Japan on it, and they were before the war. So that's why it's not necessarily always the case of what year it is. Here's the bottom matching plate for the cup that emulated the Boost Willow. You can see how this one, it almost doesn't match the 2 stamps, but it definitely matches the plate, matches each other. One is really light and one is really kind of blurred a little bit. But that's okay. But that'll show you. It doesn't mean that they're different years though on that one. All right, let's move to the actual word Japan. Just backstamp, just Japan. You'll find different colors. All of them are collectible. All of them are worth keeping. Any plate that you'll find, or any really porcelain item that has the backstamp Japan, is going to be definitely before the war. You're talking about at least 1940s or before in the 30s. And if it's a different color of stamp, I've seen blue, red, green. Those are even signs that it's even further. I'd say even in the 20s or 30s, they've been stamping like that. So here's a good example of these 4 plates here. These 2 are matched, and they are from the same set, same back stamp, and same era. These 2 are same back stamp, but not the same pattern, and I'll show you the difference in a second. These 2 are black back stamp, and these 2 are blue back stamp. It's my belief that these blue back stamps, I believe these are newer than the ones on the left there, because of by their condition of the plate. There's hardly any crazing on this plate. There's a few cracks and stuff from age, which will tell you too that you're not going to get cracks like this unless it's like past the 60s, before the 60s. Also, this little edge here, if you got a double edge, then it's a sign that you're getting to the past the 40s. Okay, so that's the blue Japan back stamp. Now here's the black one. You've seen a lot of this stuff, and a lot of people just pay it no mind because, oh, that's just Japan. But these are the plates that are the most collectible right now. Now look at the edge of the bottom plate, the bottom ring, doesn't have any glazing on it whatsoever. It's almost crude looking compared to this one. That's almost the same size and everything, but there's extreme discoloration in this plate on the bottom, which is another sign. Now, imperfections, I think, are signs of the plate being older because they're from a pottery company that took it over and started transferring and trying to copy Booth Willow and copying Spode Copeland. And Spode, the first one. Now, on this plate, you can see extreme drips, I think, from the glazing, which is just really bad. It's shoddy. That could have been on the bottom of the stack, maybe. And then there's some transfer color from maybe the plate that it sat on and it wasn't quite dry yet, which is another sign that it's a bad potter company. Is the plate still collectible? Of course, because this plate is definitely before the war, which has got to be before the 40s. And so now you're talking about a plate that's 70 years old almost. And so it's definitely, collect all of them. They all have neat patterns, really pretty colors, and good pattern, actual pattern. Now this plate, I believe is older than this one. And again, if you look at the bottom ring compared to this bottom ring is quite different. You probably can't see it on camera, but this one has a actual curved little flat base, and this one has a flat base. This one is severely crazed, and it has the discoloration damage from crazing. Moisture gets inside there, and through the years it just discolors. It's not a sign that it's worth the same amount as a plate that wasn't, and it's still very collectible. Now let me show you the difference between these two that I found. And so let me show you. So the boat is a different style of boat. The willow tree is there's 4 branches on the top right there, and there's 3 on that one. The pagodas are slightly different. They look very similar to just at first glance. Now this tree all the way to the right here, let me put this plate down. This tree here, look at the difference between the two. A big difference between those two patterns of that bush. Also the difference between the guys crossing the bridge. The guy in the back, the number 3 man, doesn't have a pole. But this one, number 3 man, has a scroll. Also, you could always see a difference between this pathway. And it's actually different in every one of these plates, except for these two that are the same. These two are more of a zigzag back and forth, kind of strange. I threw this one in because, yeah, it's made in Japan too. I got this at a garage sale. It's made in Japan. It's a great example of flow blue for one, and a great example of made in Japan that's obviously older than the wool. This plate is starting to craze and crack, but not in any major way. This border, in case you guys didn't know, everything here has got a standard border. This border is called the butterfly border. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, I think you can. So every top and bottom, left and right is this symbol here, and it kind of looks like a little butterfly with its antennas sticking out. I'll show you another one right there. Antennas and the butterfly. And I don't see the butterfly pattern very often. In fact, I've only seen it in this one. You know what flow blue was? It's when they mix in cobalt into the transfer, and it gives it this really blue. This one's actually a pretty good clear transfer. I read an article of an interview with actual Robert Copeland in the 1800s, and he said that he would never see straight lines on a really good transfer that has cobalt. He said it's supposed to be blurry, and the better it is, the more cobalt they used, and that's why Copeland or Spode's is so blurry, because they use a lot of cobalt. So guys, thanks for watching my video. This is Japanese back stamp. I'm the Willow guy. Watch my next video about tiny willow. Does it exist? Little tiny ones. Probably so. Thank you.